jaw-dropping beautiful. Look at that. As I read a little bit about this garden, it used to be a limestone quarry, and in 1908 the limestone was depleted and Mrs. Butchart decided to make this a sunken garden. Look at how beautiful that is. And then just up here there's a small house. Alright, I'm finding my way down into the actual garden itself. And to think that at one time this was just filled with all types of noise of people excavating limestone. And look at it now. Truly a sight to behold. This definitely has to be one of the more beautiful places on earth. You see all the folks coming down the steps. Without question, this has to be one of the more beautiful places on earth. You are looking at the Ross Fountain Lookout. This smaller quarry was a source of limestone in the 1860s. It was here that Ian Ross, grandson of Mr. and Mrs. Butchart, devised his spectacular fountain with the assistance of his plumber, Adrian Butler, and his electrician, Vic Dawson. The Ross Fountain commemorated the 60th anniversary of the Butchart Gardens when it was installed in 1964. Look at that. That is really something to watch. And here's a view of the fountain from the other side. And it comes up and it does different, it's choreographed. Look at that. I don't know if I've ever seen a more beautiful fountain than that. I made my way up to the carousel, and this was one of the items on the map as I was walking in that I was interested in seeing. It's an old-fashioned carousel, and what's interesting about this, it was only about a week ago that a friend of mine was in Colorado, and he told me that he went out of his way to see a carousel. So this is called the Rose Carousel. You can see the different folks going along. I think if I'd get on the carousel to ride, I'd probably be best suited to ride a monkey. Look at that. Wow. Just wonderful. All right, so on with the tour. Interestingly enough, I've been in British Columbia now for several days, and these are the first totem poles that I've seen since I've been here. And they are quite impressive, to say the very least. So I give you a view from the bottom looking up. People have always told me that I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. This is a raven, beaver with grouse, otter with pups, and clam and frog on here. So there at the bottom, I think you have the, let's see, at the bottom you have the frog. That's right. Well, you can figure it out. Continuing along, I found my way to an area, it says the Organ Pavilion, and I don't know if this is the building or not, but one would certainly think so. So just out beyond this area where I'm located is an outdoor stage, and they have concerts here. As a matter of fact, there's a concert this evening, and if I take a left right here, it's going to take me to both the Japanese garden and the Rose Garden, and all over there in the distance you can see the pavilion, which is right there. The most interesting of trees that you can see right here on the lawn, just behind the, or in front of the pavilion, I should say. Look at that. And here's another interesting tree. Look at that. One can only wonder if they decorate these for Christmas. I would imagine that they would. You can see everywhere you look there's flowers. Needless to say, it would appear that I made my way to the Japanese garden, and this fountain would give me that impression. So we're going to let's give you a nice view of the fountain as I walk around to the entrance of the Japanese garden. It would appear that I made my way to the Japanese garden, as you can see with this dragon fountain here, and just to my left would be the pathway that would take me down to what I'm sure is another gorgeous garden. I think I'm running out of adjectives to describe this park that I found, or this garden rather. It really is something to see, as the young lady does a selfie. Everybody's doing selfies, and I think that I embarrassed her. So she's going to be a YouTube celebrity, perhaps. And here's a large, massive tree, would appear to be a redwood. It's a coast redwood right there.
Another workout.
And then I think just around this corner here, it's going to take me down into the garden. And sure enough, you got to give credit where credit is due. YouTube has provided such a wonderful opportunity for individuals like myself to travel the world and share it with people that would otherwise never have a chance to see such amazing things as this. Alright, as you may very well guess, I made my way down to the Rose Garden. And every time I see a rose garden, I can't help but to think of a lovely woman that I spent the better part of a week with in New Zealand called Fenella. And Fenella was a elderly lady, well into her 80s, and she had a rose garden. It was her pride and joy. And whenever I see a rose garden such as this, I can't help but to think about that time that I spent with Fenella down in New Zealand.
I mean, it doesn't make the trip sad, but it does sad. It makes
You go through this beautiful trellis here. Look at this. What a sight to behold.
We went up there, there ain't nothing up there.
Actually, I saw a sign for the Japanese garden, and I don't think that I've come across the Japanese garden yet, despite the fact that I saw that fountain. So we'll see if we can't find that as well. And I believe I still need to see the Mediterranean garden and the Italian garden. This is the Fountain of the Three Sturgeons, and you are looking at the Fountain of the Three Sturgeons, and just off to the left is the large expansive lawn that leads over to the Butchart home over here. And if I'm not mistaken, behind me perhaps, this is the entrance to the Japanese garden. So we'll take a walk down the path here. I've noticed that the gardens here are dog friendly. A lot of people walking about on this nice summer day with their little dog. And this is the Japanese garden, the first of Jenny Butchart's former gardens. The Japanese garden was started in 1906. The magnificent purple beech on each side of the gate and the Japanese maples at the head of the stone stairs down into the garden are the oldest non-native trees in the Butchart Gardens. Look at this. Boy, she did a wonderful job with these gardens. You can hear the water running through this small waterfall. In case, like myself, you were wondering, what kind of a state would this be without having its own little cove? Wonder no more. You're looking at the Butchart Cove right here. And if you wanted to take a nice cruise, they offer boat tours. And it is just beautiful. Butchart Cove Lookout. Where the present wharf now stands, Mr. Butchart built a boathouse for his motor yacht, Nuya. Many dignitaries entertained by the Butcharts enjoyed a cruise on the local waters of the Saanich Inlet and the Gulf Islands. I made my way back into the Japanese garden after going and looking at the Cove Lookout. Not as many flowers in the Japanese garden. A lot of water, a lot of sculptured trees such as you see here. You see a lot of water lilies. Just some beautiful trees. You see this tree right here. Alright, I believe what is still needed to be seen is the Mediterranean garden and the Italian garden. My friend Edit and Amadeo, I should say my friends Edit and Amadeo, probably wouldn't forgive me if I finished this tour without seeing the Italian garden. They live in Genoa, Italy. And I know Edit watches a lot of my videos. Not too sure about Amadeo. He's probably too busy watching football, as they call it. Soccer, as we call it. No shortage of green as you walk through the butchered property. Coming up out of the Japanese garden, you come across this view here. And there's a fountain with several frogs that are streaming water into the pond here. Simply could not have asked for a nicer day to be visiting Butchered Gardens. You are looking at the entrance to the Italian Garden, and the Italian Garden is the most formal of Mrs. Butcher's gardens. Created in 1926 on the site of the family tennis court, the well-known architect Samuel McClure worked from Mr. Buchart's ideas to create the garden. So let's go on in and see the most formal of gardens, the Italian garden here at Butchart Gardens, and we'll dedicate this segment of the video to Amadeo over in Genoa, Italy. Look at that view. Now, if this video doesn't get Amadeo off the sofa watching football, you know, I don't know what will. Look at all of those flowers. And the smell in here is just really something else. And you have to get some gelato, of course. What would an Italian garden be without some Italian gelato at the gelateria? Look at that. It would appear that I've made it to the end or back to the beginning, depending on how you look at it, of the Butchart Gardens here in just outside of Victoria, British Columbia. And you can see this sculpture of this boar. I believe it's actually a replica of a boar that you would see in Florence, Italy. And this would be the Butchart home, I would believe, where I'm sure they had many wonderful, wonderful times together here. So I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of the Butchart Gardens here just outside of Victoria on Vancouver Island in beautiful British Columbia. And if you're ever out in this part of the world, don't even think twice about coming to a visit to this beautiful spot on Earth.